Consider a question with me. What is your food story? Your food story. In other words, how has food or does food impact your life? What's your relationship with food? Is your food story, is it filled with guilt, punishment, shame? Maybe it's filled with illness, death. Death is part of my food story. Or on the other side, maybe does your food story lean more towards pleasure, joy, connection, healing, beauty? Food is beautiful. Food is beautiful. Food has an amazing power in our lives. Food is actually created to nourish our bodies, our minds, our souls, our entire being. It can create connection in our life, joy, pleasure, healing. Now, I didn't always feel this way about food. In fact, my food story got off to a bit of a rocky start, I would say. When I was 13, my father died from diabetic complications. Not long thereafter, I had an aunt and an uncle, both die from diabetic complications, food-related illness, right? My stepfather died before he was 60, again in part due to what he ate. And me, I grew up in the processed food generation, as I think probably a lot of you did here, looking around at your ages. And the conventional wisdom was, and I think still is, that processed food was the thing that we should be eating, right? It's got added nutrients and minerals and vitamins that are supposed to be good for us, right? So I grew up eating a whole lot of packaged macaroni and cheese, condensed soup, and my personal favorite, instant chocolate milk. I drank a lot of it. And I suffered the consequences. Now, I was never heavy. I was a pretty active kid, so I stayed thin. But I had a lot of fatigue, brain fog, I think we can relate to that one, a lot of colds, way too many colds for a teenage kid. And the most important thing or significant thing for me was that I had upset tummies almost every day. Sometimes so bad that I couldn't even stand up straight, right? Doubled over with pain. I used to carry antacid with me to help soothe those all too frequent upset tummies. I had them so often. But here's the interesting thing about my story. It's not that bad. It's kind of average, really, when you look around. I only had some minor illnesses, no major illnesses. I only lost a few relatives to diet-related disease. So what does that tell you about our society's food story when mine is okay, right? It's on the better side of average. Our society's food story, it's not just kind of bad, it's not leaning towards the negative, it's in crisis. We are in crisis when it comes to food in our society, right? You all have heard the statistics, I'm sure, right? The Center for Disease Control tells us 1 in 3 US adults, 17% of children are obese with diet-related diseases like heart disease, certain types of cancer, type 2 diabetes, being among the leading causes of preventable death. Preventable death. We don't need to be dying from these things. Very, very scary statistics. Our society's food story is in crisis. But we're not stuck with this story. We don't have to accept that this is the way that it is. We can make a change. We have the power to make a change, each of us. Now, at this point, we could talk about a whole bunch of different things, right? There's a lot of things that are bad in our food story as a society. There's GMOs, there's heavy use of pesticides, industrial farming and agriculture, lack of education, lack of quality food, lots of stuff, right? All of those things need to be attended to, absolutely. They need our attention. But in my opinion, those things are symptoms. All of that stuff is outside of us. The real problem is in the inside, something that we have forgotten. So all of that stuff out there, the change can't happen out there. The change needs to happen inside. So let's go back to my story for just a moment. I changed my food story. I actually found healing through food. Food is a big, important part of my life. Believe it or not, I am really grateful that I have such a sensitive tummy. My tummy will tell me when I eat something that isn't appropriate for me right away. And I'm really grateful for it. All of those tummy aches that I had when I was growing up, that was the thing that drove me to make change. As I got into my 20s, I started educating myself about food. I started learning what foods worked for my body and which ones didn't. I started learning how to cook. And really significantly to me is I started seeking foods that I really enjoyed. Food that I really enjoyed. Food that not only tasted good, but food that satisfied my entire being. Not just my body, but my entire being. And food actually, it opened a door for me to so much more. Food became a gateway or an opening, a doorway for me to a more vibrant and engaged life. It connected me to my senses. Got the lightning going again. It connected me to my senses. It's the power of food. What I was saying was that food connected me to my body, my senses, my desires, the things that I enjoyed, the things that I didn't enjoy. Let me know about that. It connected me to the people around me, my culture, and the world as a whole. Food is really, really powerful, isn't it? And all of these changes, this opening for me, this connection to joy and pleasure and healing, it caused me to start making better and better choices about food. And it continues to help me make better and better choices about food. It's a very positive upward spiral. And this positive upward spiral in relationship to food, I believe, is available to every single one of us and to our society as a whole. If we are willing to make the choice to consciously, with a big emphasis on the word conscious, to consciously enjoy real food again, and allow the power of real food, the beautiful healing power of real food back into our lives. So let's talk for just a minute about real food versus what most of us eat in society, okay? So real food over here on one hand. You can identify real food because you can look at it and know that at one point it was or is still alive, all of it. It was alive, a plant, an animal. Not real food, food-like products. It's sometimes called fake food, we can call it. Not so much. It is packaged, heavily processed, chemical-laden, preservatives. It has ingredients on it that you have no idea where that stuff came from, right? It came out of a lab somewhere. It might look like real food. They're really good at making fake food look like real food, but you know that it's not because of all that stuff that's in it. Real food over here, it nourishes our bodies and it has stories that nourish our souls. It inspires us. It ignites our imaginations. Fake food, very little of any nutrients to nourish our bodies, no story to nourish our souls. Real food is life-giving. Fake food has had the life sucked out of it, and it will actually suck the life out of us, right? And we've given up all of this beautiful real food over here. God created nourishing food for all of this stuff over here in the name of cost, convenience, calories, individual nutrients, and what some person over here or a group of people over there thinks or is telling us that we should be eating, right? And as a result, it's literally killing us. It's killing us. And we've lost the connection to all of this beautiful healing wonderfulness that's over here for us, the beautiful healing power of real food. We've not only forgotten how to consciously enjoy real food, we've forgotten what real food is. So the question for me personally isn't so much how do we deal with all of this stuff over here, because this is a symptom, right? The question for me is how do we return to the beautiful healing power of real food? How do we remember how to enjoy our food again? Okay, so I have 4 suggestions for you today. Now these suggestions are not all or nothing. This is not an opportunity for you to judge yourself further about how you're not doing things quite exactly right or what you're eating, anything like that. It's not an opportunity to be stressed out. So it's not all or nothing. And these principles are very, very simple. Don't let their simplicity deter you from using them. So the first one is to invite more real food into your life. We're talking about real food, eat more real food. Now, if you happen to have a diet that's very heavy in processed food, this will be a challenge for you, and that's okay. Let it be a challenge. Let it be fun. It does not have to be all or nothing. Think in terms of 10%. The next time you go to the grocery store, add 10% more real food to your shopping cart. The next time you make a meal, 10% more veggies or fruits. Next time you go out to eat, 10% more. Have fun with it, notice how it feels, and then add a little bit more in. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, this one might be scary for some of you. I don't know how y'all feel about this home cooking up here, but the second one is to begin preparing your own meals, at least occasionally. If you don't cook at all, I know it can be intimidating and scary. I invite you to try once a week. Once a week. Anybody can do that. Make your own meals. If you already cook, try to increase that amount a little bit. Make your own lunch when you go out to work, for example. So prepare your own food. The third idea that I have for you is to be grateful for what you're eating. Yeah, you're nodding there. Gratitude is amazing power in our lives, an amazing power in our lives. Whenever we are grateful, we invite more good things into our lives. So be grateful for your food, whatever it is that you happen to be eating, even if it's the baked stuff over here, be grateful. And that might mean saying grace before you eat. It's so fantastic. Maybe it's just admiring the beauty of your food before you dive in, or it could be even as simple as just feeling a sense of gratitude while you're eating. Then the fourth one that I have for you is the most important, I think. It's also the hardest. Be present when you're eating. Yeah. Now we're all busy, right? We're all running around. We've got lots of things to do, places to be. We all eat in our cars from time to time. I sometimes eat when I'm in front of the computer. It happens. That's okay. It's not all or nothing. What I invite you to do is at least one meal a day. Really be present for your food. So set the scene, make an event out of it. Pause, take your time, engage your senses while you're eating. Really taste your food. How often do we really taste our food, right? Actually taste it like it's the first time. Look at the beauty of your food, the aromas. Notice the sounds around you while you're eating. Feel the textures and the temperatures of your food. And if you really want to take it a step deeper, notice how you're feeling while you're eating. How is your body reacting to your food? What are your emotions? How are you feeling emotionally while you're eating? Again, not a chance for judgment. Just notice, are you being grateful for your food? Are you judging yourself for what you're eating? Are you feeling ashamed? Guilty? Just notice. And then, if you want to take it even a step further, notice how you're feeling after you've finished eating. An hour after, 2 hours after, and the next day. Because here's a little bit of an aside for you. Your body is very, very wise. Your body knows exactly what it needs to be vibrantly alive and healthy. And it will tell you if you'll take the time to pay attention. So notice the next day or a couple of hours later. Do you feel light and energized, vibrant, or do you feel off-center, muddy, brain fog? That's valuable information. It's not a chance to judge yourself. It's an opportunity to notice what's working for you in your body. You don't have to jump on the latest bandwagon fad diet or listen to the latest scientific study that's the opposite of what it was last week, right? You can listen to your body and know what's going to work for you and what you should be eating. And it starts by being present when you're eating. So 4 very simple concepts, right? Invite more real food into your life. Prepare your own meals as often as you can. Be grateful for your food and be present when you're eating. Are these 4 ideas enough to bring healing, to make a change? I think they are. I think they are. It's a good start and it's worth a try. It's time for us to heal, right? It's time for us to change this diet-related food epidemic disease thing that's happening in our society. Yeah, it's time for us to change our food story from one of disease, discomfort, pain, death, to one of connection, joy, healing, and beauty. Thank you.
Thank you.